You know that feeling? You look out at a shady backyard and you just sigh, thinking your dreams of a vegetable garden are, well, just not gonna happen. I am here to tell you to think again. Today, we're gonna dive into how you can turn those less than sunny spots into gardens that are surprisingly productive.
This quote from the Old Farmer's Almanac, it just hits home for so many of us, right? But the fantastic news is that shade isn't a gardening death sentence. Nope. It just means we need a smarter plan. And that whole plan starts with really understanding what you're working with.
So the very first step is actually just a small shift in how you think about it. We're gonna stop seeing shade as this one big problem and start seeing it as a set of specific conditions. Because once you get a handle on the light you actually have, you can build a real strategy. And this right here, this is the most fundamental mindset shift. Shade isn't just one thing. Think about it. The dappled light that filters down through a leafy tree is totally different from the deep, solid shadow cast by a garage all day. Nailing down what kind of shade you have is the absolute most important first step to success.
This brings us to a really key term, partial shade. What we're talking about is somewhere around 3 hours of direct sun, maybe with some filtered light for the rest of the day. And listen, this isn't a compromise. For a lot of veggies, this is the absolute sweet spot. It actually protects them from that scorching afternoon sun.
So how do you figure out your light situation? Easy. You're going to become a sun detective for a day. Seriously, just spend a day watching your yard. See where that direct sunlight lands and for how long. Are you getting that 6+ hours you need for sun-hungry plants like tomatoes? Or are you living in that 3 to 6 hours sweet spot of partial sun or shade? Just one day of observation will turn all your guesswork into an actual usable garden map. Okay, so you've got your light map in hand. Now we get to the really fun part. Discovering the amazing number of vegetables that don't just put up with shade, they actually thrive in it. This is where your planting list is about to get really exciting. And here's a little secret, a huge advantage really. For some plants, shade is a massive bonus. It actually stops leafy greens from bolting. That's when they shoot up a flower stalk and go to seed way too early, which makes the leaves taste bitter. So in this case, shade is your secret weapon for a sweeter, more tender harvest. So let's talk about the all-stars here. Lettuce, spinach, kale, arugula. These are your go-to guys. And check out these pro tips. Shade isn't just something they can handle, it's something they actually like. It keeps the arugula from getting too peppery and bitter, and it keeps that spinach sweet. And that's the key takeaway, You're not just finding a way to grow something in a tough spot, you're using that spot to grow better tasting food.
But hey, a shade garden isn't just about salads, not by a long shot. You can also grow some really substantial root vegetables. The kind of crops that make for a hearty meal and store well into the cooler months.
This list right here just shows you the incredible variety you can have. Beets, carrots, radishes, turnips, all fantastic choices. And look, again, notice the benefits. That shade helps keep beetroots nice and tender and stops carrots from getting bitter. Oh, and radishes, they're like a shade gardener's superpower. They grow so fast you can just tuck them into any little corner for a super quick and satisfying harvest.
Okay, so we've covered leafy greens, we've got our root veggies, but I know the question that's on everybody's mind. What about the undisputed king of the home garden? What about the tomato?
Let's just dive right in and tackle this head-on. Can you grow tomatoes in the shade? Well, the short answer is yes, but it is absolutely possible, but you've got to manage your expectations and, most critically, you have to choose the right variety. And you've got to get your expectations right, which is why this is so important. In full sun, a tomato plant is just going for quantity, a huge, fast harvest. In partial shade, that plant slows way down. You're going to get fewer tomatoes and they'll take longer to turn red. But, and this is a fascinating trade-off, a lot of gardeners will swear that this slower ripening process actually concentrates the sugars, giving you this intensely flavorful fruit. You're trading quantity for quality. So what kinds should you be looking for on those seed packets? The whole strategy is to pick smaller, faster maturing types that don't need a super long, hot season to do their thing. Cherry tomatoes like Sun Gold are an amazing bet. Determinate or bush varieties like Roma are also really smart because they set all their fruit around the same time. Even some heirlooms that are used to cooler climates like black crim can surprise you, though you'll definitely get a smaller harvest.
All right, you got your light, you've got your shopping list of plants. Now let's pull all of this together into a simple action plan. This is how we make sure your shady garden doesn't just survive, but it absolutely thrives.
Think of these 5 tips as your playbook for a thriving shade garden. 1. Start your seeds in a sunny window to give them a really strong head start. 2. Warm up that cool, shady soil with some dark mulch. 3. Be on the lookout for pests like slugs and snails. They love damp, shady spots. 4. Give your plants a little extra space. This helps with airflow and lets them soak up every last bit of light. And 5. Water smart. Shaded soil stays damper longer, but those big tree roots nearby can be really thirsty, so always check the soil first.
And if you really want to take things to the next level, here are 3 pro tips for you. First, boost your light. It sounds crazy, but something as simple as painting a nearby fence white can reflect a surprising amount of light back onto your plants. Second, work on that soil. Shade often comes with compacted soil, so adding tons of rich compost is a must. And third, think about using raised beds. They are an amazing solution for controlling your soil and getting away from those greedy tree roots.
So really, what's the big takeaway here? It's that a shady yard isn't a limitation. It's an opportunity. It's a chance to grow a different kind of garden, one filled with tender greens, sweet root vegetables, and yeah, even a few of those incredibly flavorful tomatoes. So I'll just leave you with this question. What shady corner of your yard is about to become your next thriving green oasis?